Hey everybody, I'm Invisible Katana, and today I'm going to be doing my top 5 moments from the EA E3 2015 press conference. I did this last night. Unfortunately, I had a bunch of issues with sound, so right now I have my Bethesda one converting and everything because I was able to set that up last night. And while that does that, I figured I'll just redo this one and kind of shoot through it. That way, it won't be as long as it was initially anyway. But just to get things started, number 5 for me was definitely Star Wars Battlefront. I've never really gotten into the Battlefront games, but I love Star Wars, of course, like a ton of people. But I also think the game just looks really good. I think it's a good looking game. The graphics do look really good. It's not like it looks in the announcement trailer, which is fine. That was like in-engine footage and not in-game footage, and that was one of the numerous issues that people have with the new Battlefront game. So I understand all that stuff, but on the conference front as a whole, it just looked really good. I like the way they displayed it. Them kind of going around the entire field, like this is you on the ground, this is you in an AT-AT walker, here's you in you flying around, you as Luke a little bit. I would do, of course, I think like everyone, I do wish they kept that going at least for like a tiny bit, but it would have had to end with someone killing the other. So I understand why they did that. But it looked really good. I thought it looked great. I thought it was just nice and concise. Like here's the entire thing. There was another conference, and these are like it was one of my favorite moments. And I can't remember which conference it was, but they showed it where they were, flying in the ships and everything. And in that one, it was an X-wing. In this one, I don't know the name of the ships that they use in that battle, like the one on Hoth, but it still looked great. Like that was probably my favorite part, just the way it looked, how they have the canyons and things like that, and you could, fly as low or as high as you want. So it just looked really good, and I thought that was actually really cool. So number 5 was definitely Battlefront. I thought it looked sweet. It's not exactly like it's gonna make me go buy the game. I probably wouldn't, no matter what they showed me. To be totally honest with you guys, but I thought it just looked really well done. And of course, it's always good when you have such a massive game that is multiplayer like that. It is great to have those sort of demos where it's like, here's this, and this, and they go around the entire area, and we get to see not only the different characters, but we get to really explore this map as well. And how it even starts off with them inside the base and everything, with them kind of running out to this open field, and then they get attacked at the front of their base, and then they kind of charge out to fight back. So that's my number 5 because I thought it just looked really cool. Number 4 is also Star Wars, and it's kind of funny that this beats an entire game, but it was definitely the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic trailer for the new DLC. I love those trailers. I think like everyone does, and it was just amazing. Like even the edited version was just like kind of mind blowing to me, and I loved it. So of course, even in the middle of the conference, I was behind anyway. I was like a day or so behind. So it was not like it was live, but still in the middle of the conference, I paused. I was like, I just have to watch this full trailer right now. So the trailer was amazing. Like even the snippet that they had, like the edited version they had at the conference, was amazing. I like the concept of the story, and like I said, I went to watch the full version, and I won't spoil exactly how all that goes out, but definitely check it out if you had any sort of interest in it, and you somehow haven't gone to watch the full trailer yet. Definitely do, because it was amazing. Like it was, I believe it's shorter than the other trailers we got when the game first came out, because I believe those were all like 10 minutes, 12 minutes long and stuff, and this one was about 5 or 6, but it was still amazing. And just the concept of it with these characters who are not a part of the Rebel Alliance or the Empire, I thought was an amazing concept, because we don't really get to see stuff like that unless you really read the comic books. You don't really get these, factions that are separated from both, and it's like, unaffiliated with either and attack both and things like that. So I thought it was an amazing concept to add into the universe, and it just seems like it'll be really cool. It's a great trailer, like I said. Just a great, interesting storyline to have in the Star Wars universe that I think is pretty sweet. I think it was cool that they had these characters who were unaffiliated, and it shows some pretty dark stuff in there, and it was just really good. I don't want to spoil everything that happens in the trailer, but definitely check it out. Like just that was enough for me to be like, this is definitely one of my favorite moments of the entire press conference. So I love the trailer. Visually, of course, it's amazing. Story-wise, it was even cool. So it was just really sweet, and it seems like it'll be a very interesting DLC considering what they appear to be adding based on the trailer. So that's something else that's actually fairly exciting, especially if you are still playing the game and you're still interested in that. I personally have never played it. It's a Star Wars game, so of course I'm sure it's okay. I know I've heard all the issues with it and stuff like when it first started and everything, but this might get a lot of people to start playing again if they kind of quit on it or if they never started up. I don't know if this would really get you started. Like, it wouldn't get me started up. I just enjoy the trailer because it looks cool, and I would love it if there was a movie version, but that just won't happen. And I know that's one of the big things where it's like, why don't they make a CG movie? Because people, of course, would pay for that. It costs like millions of dollars. I remember hearing it was like $6-7 million just to make the CG trailers that they make. So unfortunately, that's why we don't get that stuff, because it would cost, those are 10 minutes long. You do that for, especially for a Star Wars movie, it's not like, oh, it's an hour and 45. It's like you're getting 2.5 hours basically of film. So you can imagine how much that would really cost them to make one of these CG films, and it wouldn't make, even with that, I still think it would make, because it's Star Wars. Of course, it's gonna make everything back. It's fine, but unfortunately, I think that's why we won't ever get that. We'll just have to settle for some of the other. I don't want to say lesser versions of CG, because I love Star Wars Clone Wars as well as Star Wars Rebels currently. So those are both amazing anyway. But yeah, we don't get like the crazy fights that we get in these trailers. But that's because they're trailers and those are TV shows. But that's definitely my number 4 moment of the press conference. Number 3 is something that I'm actually really excited to see when it comes out, because I think it'll be something that's very, very interesting in the gaming community. I think it'll be one of those sort of indie games that are just gonna blow up, and that's of course Unravel, which I thought looked really, really nice, and it seems like a nice, peaceful, calming game. It has platforming elements, of course, seemingly puzzles with the part that they had with the crows. I don't know if you were supposed to dodge the crows or if, how that was supposed to play. It looked like you were supposed to dodge them, but it just looked nice. Swinging on the rope, the little roaring gopher part was cute and funny, and it just looks like it's going to be a really fun game. So that's definitely my number 3 moment, because I thought it just looked really good. Of course, I do have to know how nervous the creator was. It was kind of funny. Like, he was so nervous, and like when they had the little zoom in when he took Yarny out, and you could see he was shaking so much. And I remember thinking, like, he's so nervous. And then as soon as I saw the game, and I figured, of course, it's just public speaking. You see people get nervous about that all the time. But it was funny, like when when they showed the trailer, I was like, he's gonna look back in like a year and just laugh at how nervous he was. He's gonna be fine. Like, I think that game's gonna do really well, to be totally honest. And it's one of the games that typically I don't buy it, but just the peaceful aspect of it made me very interested. So I think I am gonna end up picking it up, because it's just going to be one of those games. It's almost like Limbo. That was something that it made me think of. It's like, obviously happy. It's like the opposite, emotionally speaking, it's the opposite of Limbo, but it's the same sort of style where there most likely won't be any dialogue. I'm sure Yarny won't be speaking to us. But you're just in this world, you're figuring out puzzles and things like that. You have to be careful. You got things that are typically smaller than us, and now it's, crazy enemies like the giant gopher. It's still going to be really funny and cute to deal with that, but I that's what I thought of. It's like the nice version of Limbo with no dialogue. It's just the environment. It's of course very colorful and bright instead of Limbo, which was black and gray and white pretty much. So I'm excited for it. I think it's gonna do perfectly fine. He's gonna be like rolling in money when that game comes out, I think. So that's my number 3, because I thought it was just a good looking indie game, and it just seems like it's going to have a pretty cool story. I'm curious to see exactly how it does come out. I'm assuming it's going to be sort of a download-only game, but it could end up being a very long game, and they add a lot of different elements to it. But as it stands right now, it definitely has the style and feel of just, this is going to be an indie game that's going to be maybe 3 to 4 hours long, cost $10-15 or something. But I'm definitely excited for it. I thought it definitely looked really, really cool. So that's my number 3. Number 2 and number 1 were really hard to decide. I had to decide this last time kind of on the spot when I did the video. And ultimately, I came to the decision that for me, number two was Mass Effect Andromeda. I think initially with it being, especially, it was like the very first thing they showed us. Here's the new Mass Effect. It was really cool. I love the initial trilogy. I have all three games, and of course it's BioWare. They do great stories. They have great action in the game, great characters. All the choices, of course, were the biggest thing. And now we have this new franchise that is in this crazy, crazy world. It's basically like putting something, making a new part of the Star Wars universe now because they put so much into the first three games. Like here's, first contact wars, and here's how these two species met and whether they fought or not, and this is how this species was defeated, and this is where these live and those live, and this is who made that. So there's so much in this universe, and we still don't really know where this takes place. We know that I have to assume it's in the Andromeda galaxy because it's called Andromeda, but we still don't really know the time frame of this franchise. I have to assume that it's not a prequel because it doesn't take place during the first Contact Wars, or it's at least not that far back because they have some of the technology. They have, um, you know, um, faster than light travel. They have the hyperdrives and all that stuff. So it's somewhere in between either the main franchise and the first Contact Wars, which is basically the beginning of interspecies conversations in the Mass Effect universe, or it does take place afterwards. And either way, I'm very curious to see how it plays out. I do like the fact that we got to see some of these interesting worlds where one of them was basically like sort of the desert. That's kind of how it looked. So it had more of a real life aesthetic to it, which a lot of planets don't have in the Mass Effect universe. They have like the alien style, or if they are similar to Earth, it's kind of like here are these giant structures, these giant alien structures, except for the first game because they had like a billion planets that you could go to. And so you could easily find a planet like, oh, this looks like Earth, in like 1850 or something, like before we put a bunch of buildings in. It's just like grasslands and stuff like that. So I'm very excited for that because it's Mass Effect. I love the franchise. I'm very curious to see who the main character is, what their story is. They had the N7 armor, which does, if I remember right from the first three games, that basically does mean they're a high-ranking official in the army, whatever it is for Mass Effect. So we are still in a similar position. It probably won't be the exact same where it's like I can do this and do that, and maybe we grow to that rank. Because in Mass Effect 1, it was kind of just like you're pretty much already there. You automatically get all that stuff. So I'd love to see how they play around with it. When they did the press conference last year, when they were kind of doing sort of a unique take on the conference where it was like, here's just what we're working on, and it wasn't trailers, it was just here's some concept art and here's like the tiniest bit of 3D stuff that we have. One of the worlds did look like it was sort of a city that was destroyed. Like it looked like one of the constructs was like a freeway and stuff. So that's something I'm really excited for with this game because we don't have stuff like that in the initial trilogy. We have very rare moments where it's like here's Earth or something like that, which we only really have in the last game. So it's like here are these things that we don't really get to see from the Mass Effect franchise, and now they might give us that stuff. Like we might get to see London, like actually get to see it and experience it in the Mass Effect universe. We might get to see the homeworlds of some of the other creatures that we never got to see. So I'm really excited for that, and it's Mass Effect, so I'm sure it's gonna do fine anyway. But that definitely got me excited. And then my number one moment definitely had to be Mirror's Edge 2 because I love Mirror's Edge 1. I waited for Mirror's Edge 2, like a lot of people, since I beat Mirror's Edge 1. I was like, it has a cliffhanger ending a little bit. There are a couple of things they could pick up on for a sequel. And it kind of just, fell to the wayside. It didn't do well enough to instantly get a sequel. But now we have it, and it's Mirror's Edge Catalyst, which I thought was fairly interesting. And something that happened at the press conference was that they mentioned it was a prequel. I don't know if that was by accident or not, but she mentioned it was a prequel because it does focus a lot on Faith's origins. But I believe that was a bit of a mistake, and it's sort of a prequel as well as a sequel because of course, her style is very different. She has like a full-on arm tattoo, which for anyone who hasn't played the first game, she has like a tiny tattoo like right up here, and now it's like a full-on arm tattoo. So unless they put it in the story that she basically got, laser tattoo removal, I think that was a little bit of a mistake. Mostly focused on the fact that it does give us a little bit of Faith's origins in the game, as well as pick up where the first game left off. And I really hope it does. I hope that they really do go back and pick up. There's really only like one storyline, and I won't spoil it if you haven't played the game. But there's like one storyline that's a real big cliffhanger in the game that they could pick up on, and then the other one is just the fact that Faith, being sort of this outlaw character as a courier, her sister is a cop, and we got a little bit of that in the first game, of course, because it was the first one, so it was just like, here's a minor interaction between them a couple of times throughout the game. So I would really love to see them pick up more on that, which it seems like they will, because they're going to be talking about her origins a lot. So it had me really excited. We got to see a little bit of the open world, where they mentioned, there are side missions, the main missions, there are even sort of time trials that you can do just running around the world. And I'd like to see more of that, because I want to see exactly how open world it is. I feel like, based on what they showed and based on what the game is in general, odds are we still, even as an open world game, will kind of be limited to sticking to rooftops. We'll have like our base area where we get to go back as to meet the other couriers and stuff. And outside of that, we get to run around rooftops, but we won't get to go to like the street level or anything like that. So I would like to see how open world this game really is, and also if they could give us just a size of the map and say like it's this many square miles. I'd love to see that too. It looks huge. I don't know if they're gonna do sort of an Assassin's Creed thing where it's like, they don't say this anymore because it's obvious to us now, but I remember when the first game came out, it was like, they would stand on this tall building, and it's like everything you see you can go to. Just, it might be at a certain time in the game, but I would love to see it if it's like that for Mirror's Edge. They basically have it where you can go to the edge of the map, and then, like most games, it's an island or something like that. So I would love to see that. I'd love to see exactly how big it is. Get a couple more details on the story. We got like the main bad guy. We got a little bit of the story with Faith kind of getting put in prison at one point. And that was something I was wondering about, if that was a part of the past or if that was a part of the present that takes place, after the first game. So I'm really excited for it. I can't wait to see what they do. I'd love to see it if we got, somehow we got multiplayer. I'd love to see that. I think it will work great for this game. But, I'm just incredibly excited for it. Mirror's Edge is going to be coming out. I don't believe they gave a date for that one. I think it was like, just, it's Mirror's Edge 2. That's, here's the title, here's what it focuses on. But it looked really good. I'm incredibly excited for it. And those are my top 5 moments from the EA press conference from E3 2015. Of course, I want to know your favorite moments, or even least favorite moments. If you guys have something that just really bugged you, definitely put those down below. But if you have a list, whether it's 5 moments, 10 moments, only 2 moments, definitely put them down in the comment section below. Let me know. And of course, thanks for watching.